Hello and welcome to another episode of the Modern Day Dojo Podcast. This is episode 3. Can't believe we're 3 episodes down already. I'm super excited. Thank you for showing up and for listening to this. Today, we are going to be talking about how tracking stats can actually help you grow your gym faster. That's right. It's like a cheat code. It's there. It's the numbers. They're there. They can help you. You just have to track them. That's right. So we're going to work on that today. And one of the things I really want you to kind of meditate on and think about here is, you may have heard this, you may have not, but what gets measured gets managed. It's very difficult to run a business without measuring certain metrics, certain things that happen within your business. And I talk to a lot of gym owners who are just going through the motions. They're amazing teachers. They're phenomenal on the floor. They're fantastic at connecting with people. But when it comes to running the business side of things, they're just okay. They can just feel how their gym is running. They can look out on the floor and they see full classes, and they know that their business is doing well. They see smiling faces, so they know that they're delivering on their promises. Their bills are paid, mostly. and they go through at the end of the month, and after they've paid all the bills, they look at the profit, and they're just left there shrugging their shoulders, sitting there struggling. And I get it. If you're one of those gym owners, I was there too. You're probably one of those gym owners who might be working your butt off, doing all the jobs. You're the janitor, you're the accountant, you're the head instructor, you're everything within the business. You're there day in, day out, open to close. And you just feel like your nose is just above water, that you're just one bad day away from going under. You have tons of people on the floor, but you're barely breaking even. And that is one of the things that I hear most, is that people love coming there and people love filling the classes. They love being part of the gym, but they look at their profit and it's just, they're barely paying bills. And the pay that they take home, well, it makes them wonder why they're even running a business in the first place. Like I said, I've been there. I know what it's like. And it sucks. Let's be honest. It absolutely sucks when you put your heart and soul into something and you feel like it's just not working. And I know from personal experience that when that happened to me, I started to really look at it and say, well, I started to convince myself that I'm really doing this just so I can make a difference in those kids' lives. That making a difference is really the main thing, and the money really doesn't matter. And I think I even started to develop a limiting belief that started to actually believe that, if you're really dedicated to running a successful martial arts gym bent on making a difference, that is your purpose, that if you do make money in it, you're actually not really caring about making a difference, that it had to be one or the other. You either serve your students or you make money. And that is a very limiting belief. And if you have that same limiting belief, if you have the idea that, you're a McDojo, if you make money, well, I want to be honest with you. And I hope that you will allow me the privilege to speak some truth to you. Because when I had somebody speak truth to me, it opened my eyes and it helped me walk through the door of opportunity to help improve in my business. So I want to tell you, with your permission, that limiting belief is not true. It's not one or the other. It's the identity that you have adopted to feel better about being a mediocre business owner. I'm sorry if that stings a little bit, but it's true. When we are doing a poor job measuring and managing our business, it's easy for us to adopt a mentality, adopt a mindset that says that, well, to be one of those business owners, that just care about the bottom line, that you obviously don't care about really making a difference. We've convinced ourselves in some way, shape, or form that making an income, a living, a fair wage for providing a service that is changing lives is somehow evil, is somehow bad. And it's not the case. So I give you permission right now, if you're listening to this and you have that mentality, you're an old school gym owner who's been doing this for years, and you've been just so focused on making a difference in people's lives, and you've convinced yourself that making a living at this is for the business people, the ones that don't care about making a difference. I want you to let that go. Because yes, you can make a massive difference in the world. You can make a massive difference in your community, and you can make a fair living, a wage, and not even just getting by. You can thrive and be successful, and dare I say, be wealthy at running a successful gym. It is possible, and honestly, I want you to adopt a mindset that you deserve it. I believe those who step up and serve their communities and help people and try to help serve your communities, make them a better place, you deserve an income that allows you to prosper. It allows you some level of comfort. So I hope you can adapt that today. I hope you can take that on and start chipping away at some limiting beliefs and start believing that you are worthy, you are worth a fair price that's going to help you be successful, that's going to help you live in abundance. So please take that mindset on, because how you get there, how you arrive at a place where your business is running and thriving and being successful is by believing that you are worth it. And then by tracking the numbers, tracking what is happening within your business. Now, it's not hard. It just creates a little bit of another SOP, another standard operating procedure for you to do to be able to track the things that are coming into your business. The answer is really just tracking everything that runs in your business. You can call them stats. You can call them numbers. You can call them key performance indicators, metrics, whatever you want to call them. It's just measuring your business and how it operates, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to measure how your business performs. Now, the first question that I get about keeping track of your numbers is, what numbers do you actually keep track of? So I want you to look at your gym, however it's run. I'm going to tell you how I run mine. However, you may have different metrics. You may have different things. Now, I will tell you, if I was to go into every single metric that we track, it would take forever. This podcast would be an hour and a half long, and still we would just be scratching the surface. So I'm going to give you some of the things where you can start, where you should start keeping track of your stats. The first one, and I believe this is probably one of the most important, if you're going to be looking at this as a patient, if your business was a patient, you would be tracking their pulse. The pulse of a good school, pulse of a good gym, is the amount of leads that are coming in. You want to be able to track who is interested in your gym. This is also a good way for you to really kind of put your finger on the pulse of how well your business is in the community. If you have a good presence in the community and you make yourself known, then having a good income of leads coming into your school will tell you that, yes, people think about you when they think about martial arts. If they think about training, they're thinking about your gym. So keeping track of how many leads come in. Now you can think about this as how many leads come in through our website, how many leads come in through specific ads. Yes, you can break it down. But what it all boils down to is how many total leads are coming into your gym. That is a crucial number that you need to know. The next number that I will go over with gym owners is trials. Could be a free trial, somebody coming in to try out a free class, a free week, or it could be a paid trial. And there's a number of different ways that you can have a paid trial. You can do a 2-week test drive. You can do, which is typically what we do, a 2-week test drive, includes a uniform for $29.99. You can have 4 weeks for $49. Yeah, I mean, there's any number of ways that you can do it. And that's just, testing your market. But the amount of trials that you have coming in are your hot leads. These are the people that know of your reputation, that have contacted you and became a lead. And they've listened to whatever you had to say or went to your website and were excited about the opportunity. And they are giving you a shot. It's like, I'm sorry, this is going to sound kind of weird, but it's kind of like, hey, you've asked the girl out. That was your lead. Now she said yes. Now you're on your trial. This is your first date. Your trial is your first date with a potential client. This is where you can get to know them, where you can invest time and energy into finding out what their needs, what their wants are, and then be able to form a trusting relationship with them, right? So the trial is where you get to help them with their problem, help them with something. Now, again, you want to pay attention to your trials. These are hot leads. So you want to make sure that you're delivering on the promises that you're making. If my ad is pulling them in because I'm saying that we help deliver, we help kids develop self-confidence, and then my trial does nothing for their self-confidence, that's a bad thing. So you want to make sure you're delivering on the promise that got them in the door. And there's ways that we can do it, and we'll talk about that more. But, you should follow through on what you say you do, right? So another area that you want to focus on is your enrollments, your conversions, whatever your technical need. How many people enroll into your school? This is important because if you're doing a good job on your trials, people should enroll. They should buy into your gym's philosophy, to your training methods, to you as an instructor. It's their buy-in, and their buy-in is literally with their money. They pay you to give them the service. This is big. I mean, this is where you really have the opportunity to form that long-term relationship and help them along the way. And it is definitely something where it's exciting. I think as a gym owner, if you're looking at your enrollments going up, you get excited. It's something where you really start thinking that I'm making a difference. I have people coming in. I'm watching things grow within my gym. And who wouldn't get excited about that? I mean, I think any entrepreneur is excited about enrollments. So tracking them is important. Now, on the opposite side is your cancellations. You do need to track the people that are leaving your gym. I have something within my school that we do. We have a 30-day notice of cancellation, and it's a survey that goes out that they have to fill out in order to enact the 30-day notice of cancellation. It's just a form. They fill it out, and it's kind of our report card. If somebody is leaving me, I want to know exactly why, and I want to know what their expectations were, where they weren't met, and that helps me know where we can improve. But again, you can't manage what you don't measure. So that 30-day notice of cancellation just allows them to let us know that they're planning on canceling and no longer going to continue for whatever reason. And then it gives us the opportunity as teachers to be able to talk to them about it. If they feel that they weren't getting enough attention on the floor, or they didn't like the curriculum, then it helps us communicate better to our students, our clients, to see if we can help them better. So track those. Those are extremely important, because if you track your cancellations, you can start keeping track of something called the churn rate or your attrition rate. You can track the inverse and say this is our retention. If you're a positive thinker and you want to think of hey, I kept 95% of my students and I lost 5% versus I lost 5% of my students. I track our churn, which is what's the percentage of students that we lose. So total amount of students you had at the beginning of the month, how many students do we have at the end? Divide that and bada bing, bada boom, you get a percentage. And that percentage is your churn. A rule of thumb. Now, this varies on school to school, and it varies on the size of your school. The rule of thumb is you don't want to lose any more than 4% of your school month over month. However, this is a variable number because, for instance, if you are a smaller school and say you have 20 students that you have in your gym and you lose one student, well, congratulations, you're now at 5%. And it's not inconceivable to think that you would lose one student per month. But that already puts you above, kind of like the industry standard. So, however, you can have 100 students and lose one, and now you've lost 1%. So it's not bad. You really want to think about it as a sliding scale. Not just, 4%, that's it. If I lose more than 4%, I'm horrible. No, it just pinpoints an area of where you need to focus. The next question is, why are they leaving? So think about that churn rate as being a variable number, and then try to hit it. My goal, even though industry standard is 4%, I try not to lose more than 2 to 2.5%. 2.5%, if I lose that, I'm not even blinking. That's what happens. 3%, okay, cool. I mean, it might be coming up to summer. 4, I'm asking questions. If I get over 4, 4.5, 5%, I'm diving into it pretty extensively. Why are we losing students? What's going on? How are classes? It's a good indicator of how people are feeling about the services that they're getting. And it all boils down to, and really, it has nothing to do with the schedule or all these things. It has everything to do with your delivery on the value, your value proposition. If it is not being met, people will leave, okay? Which will increase your churn. So remember that. Some other numbers you really want to track, because as a business, your priority is to serve your students. And if you serve your students, if you serve your clients, they're going to pay you, right? So a number that you really need to keep track of is your gross receivables. And that's just the total amount of money collected. It's not your net, it's your gross. Your gross receivables are the total amount of money that your gym collected for everything. If you sold a bottle of water, if you sold a big ticket item, a coaching package, a private lesson package, if you sold whatever comes in, that gets lumped in at the end of the month and it becomes your gross. All money brought in that month is your gross. This is important because you want to know how much money you have, right? And if you make more money than you spend that month, well, that's profit, right? Business 101. I know, but you'd be amazed at how many people are not aware of that basic concept. If I have $100 in my wallet and I spend 120, guess what? I'm in debt. So got to be careful of that. Another number to keep track of. Now, keeping track of all money brought into your school through your gross is super important. But the strength of a school's ability to have cash on hand, to have good cash flow, is through your monthly reoccurring revenue. Monthly reoccurring revenue, MRR. This is what you're collecting via tuition or your memberships. This is what's coming on month to month. If you do contracts in your school, you can say next month I know that I'm going to receive this much because of contract value. It is your contract value. Having, if you budget your school on your gross, that I'm averaging this much in gross, it puts an undue stress on you as a business owner. This is my opinion only. An undue stress on you as a business owner to have to do other external things in order to be able to get to make your bills. For me, I budget everything on my monthly reoccurring revenue. I know that this money is coming in month over month minus what my average attrition is, what my churn rate is. But I know that I'm going to be receiving this much. And then everything else on top of that, that's just icing on the cake. It's cheddar. Because it is one of those things, and it helps you really understand what will be coming in. If I'm doing parent night outs, if I'm doing birthday parties, if I'm doing camps, special events, seminars, those are great to have coming in. The difference between my gross and my monthly recurring revenue is icing on the cake for me, and allows me to do other things like invest in certain things into school. If I want to invest in new equipment, that is the money that I'll use for it. And then everything else, business expenses, is budgeted based on the monthly recurring revenue. So keep that in mind. That's just one of the ways that I do things, and it helps me. And it helps me give me a little bit of peace of mind too. So, another number, which is the opposite of your gross, is you want to know your monthly burn. So a monthly burn is not like, hey, I burnt my hair or face in the curling iron or something. No, it's the monthly burn is how much cash you're burning through month over month. If I have rent, payroll expenses, I have memberships into different software for your CRM, or the amount of money that you have to pay for processing fees, all of this stuff is your expenses, what you pay each month. And this has to include what you are bringing in. If you're not including your own pay in how you attribute your expenses, then what will happen is you'll make just enough to cover your expenses, and you won't have enough left over for you. And this is where most school owners that are not tracking their stats run into. They focus on what they need to go out, and they somehow just inevitably just do enough to make it to just what they need to be able to pay bills. And they can feel good. Hey, I've paid bills. I've taken care of all my responsibilities. My employees are taken care of. And I have $600 left this month to pay me. It's not enough. Okay. So I know, because I was making $300 a month from my school when I first started running a school. And I did lots of things to increase the profitability of the school. But as I would do that, I was still only taking home $300 from my school a month, $300 a month. And that was bad. And it was rough. I learned to live on nothing. Ramen noodles were great. But that's not the right way to do it. If you put in your own, what you need to make out of, in the way you budget, if you budget in your own pay, you'll be amazed at how often you'll be able to hit that number and then some. So it's something called, Parkinson's law is a great law that states that you will do whatever task you have in the amount of time that you give yourself to do it. So if I say I'm going to do something in a year, well, I will actually take a year to do it, but really I can do it in 6 months. Well, I believe Parkinson's law also attributes this to your budgeting. If I say this is my budget, I will use up that budget. If I do not put my pay in that budget, that budget still won't make it. But if I put my pay in there, I will be able to make my expenses plus my payroll. Hopefully that makes sense. It's just my philosophy, and I think more school owners need to take their profit, their pay, and push it over into expenses. And we'll get into that when we're talking about business structures and stuff too, because there's lots of things you could do to help increase your income on that side. But anyways, the numbers that you keep track of are just the beginning. It's just kind of like the starting point for stat tracking. The beautiful part and where numbers really start to serve you is when you start being able to compare the numbers. The numbers themselves are good, and knowing that, hey, I should have 50 leads coming in per month. That'd be great. Or I really should have, I want to have 20 new enrollments this month. This would be good. I know I have 6 people leave my school this month. Not the greatest, but okay. So if you know your numbers, that's the starting point. The magic starts to happen when you start comparing these numbers to each other. When you do that, you start to become like Neo in the Matrix, where you really start being able to see the code behind the operations. The numbers, when you start comparing them to each other and calculating and coming up with equations and percentages, that's where you really start unlocking the cheat code of how to run your business. Seeing those numbers and how they relate to each other, it's the math that tells you where you need to focus. So, for instance, let's talk about lead to trial percentages. If I compare how many trials I get from the amount of leads coming in, if I have 50 leads coming in the door and I have 10 trials, that means I have a 20% trial to lead percentage. That's low. That's really low. And if you're spending marketing dollars on this, you're literally throwing money away. So if you're wondering, well, what do I need to be focusing on in my business to make sure that we're improving? If I see a stat like that where I'm sitting a 20% lead to trial, well, I know that I'm going to be practicing on either myself, if I'm doing it, or my staff on how they follow up with leads, how they communicate with leads. What are we doing with leads? Are we keeping them on the phone too long? What's our phone process like? Are we getting them to sign up for a free trial or a paid trial immediately? Is our website functional? Is it operational? Are things working? Is it converting people? I'm going to start looking at all these things to improve that. And I won't move on until I improve that stat, because that stat really is the beginning of everything. If I have a low lead to trial percentage, that means that I'm going to have a low trial to enrollment percentage. If I can increase that one stat, it'll increase the stats all the way down the funnel. Okay. So knowing how these numbers interact with each other, a good rule of thumb for lead to trials is 50%. 50% of the leads that come in should be signing up to a trial lesson or a free class, a free or paid trial. There's lots of different ways you can look at this, but I think on average, remember, you've marketed, your reputation is out there. They may have found you on the internet. They're doing a search for martial arts in their area, and they come across you. They're calling you, they're contacting you, they're going to your website, they're reaching out on email, whatever. They're contacting you because they are interested in you. So follow up with them, right? The key is in the follow-ups. Tracking, how many trials enroll as full members is a good way to measure if your program is connecting to potential clients and if you're delivering on the value proposition. So having a good trial to enrollment or trial conversion rate, which should be 80 to 85%. When you're dialed in, you're 85, 90+%. If you're needing some work and you're below 80%, you really need to be focusing on what's my sales process like? Am I having enough connection points with parents on the trial process? If I am doing a 2-week trial, am I connecting with them their first class? Am I connecting with them a week later? Am I giving them opportunities to sign up now for maybe even a discount or some swag, so a t-shirt or a free uniform or something, or you're throwing some boxing gloves. Am I providing opportunities for them to convert? Am I asking them what their concerns are? Am I listening to them? Pretty much, are you serving them, right? If you are not serving them, you are not delivering on the value proposition, and they're not going to become a client. So you want to make sure that you're giving them lots of value, lots of attention before they sign up and after. Don't just drop them. Lots of school owners, I'm watching y'all just dropping students after they enroll. Don't do that. Now, like I said, if I go over a ton of stats that we track, it would take, I would be here all day. Literally, I would be here all day. And I get kind of geeky over the numbers. And if you're a business owner and you're a true entrepreneur, you kind of get geeky over some numbers too, because they get you excited. I didn't fully understand it when I was first learning how to run a school. But once I understood, once I kind of got past my early 20s and into my mid to late 20s, I really started focusing on, wow, there's some things here that if I pay attention to, I can really start seeing ahead. Some of the stats that you're going to eventually track are things like average revenue per member, but also student value. Now, some people will say these are one and the same thing. I say they're two separate things. Average revenue per member is the gross divided by your total members, where I also track student value, which is the MRR divided by your total members. I want to know what my student value is per month versus the average revenue per member. And if I then subtract those, then I get the add-on value an add-on value per member. So it helps me kind of see what's the average that a student pays extra on top of their normal tuition in order to kind of boost that monthly gross. There's long-term metrics that you want to track, which is things like lifetime value of a client, or how long typical an average length of engagement or average length of membership that a client stays with you at. This is hard to really come up with, the average length of engagement or average lifespan of a member. There's lots of different metrics you can use, but honestly, when somebody quits your school, puts in a notice of cancellation, it's just keep a running tally of how many months they've been in your school. And then over the long haul, you'll start being able to see a running average of what your average length of engagement is, which is good, because then you can take your average length of engagement, multiply that times your average revenue per member, and you get your average lifetime value, which is good. And the more accurate you can be with these numbers, the better you are. Okay. So, sorry, my wife's calling. I think keeping track of metrics, keeping track of your stats are all things that every Modern Day Dojo needs to be measuring. And it's not even a Modern Day Dojo, it's Modern Day business needs to be measuring these things. And I think all successful businesses are keeping track of stats, keeping track of the things that are letting you know that you are either performing or lacking in specific areas. And then as managers, as owners, you need to be focusing on those areas. Now, here's the cool thing. Here's what's super cool. Keeping track of these stats over a long period of time, you'll begin to start recognizing patterns. You'll be able to see what will happen to your gym. And eventually you'll be able to predict what will happen months from now. Like, you'll be able to start to see, like, okay, I was able to see that there was a trend that we were, instead of getting students in early August, early to mid-August for the back to school rush, I was seeing it year over year starting to pull back a little bit. And I was seeing that most people were leaving for the summer rush in May and early June and coming back in July, which was really cool because instead of me waiting to capitalize on this, I was able to start to see that this is the trend. I had a 3-year trend where I could see it starting to creep back a little bit. I could see that we were getting lots of new leads coming in at the end of July and then in the middle of July. And then I knew it was going to start hitting right after the July 4th break. And so I started dumping marketing dollars into Facebook, and then we started getting more leads and capitalizing on more leads. So our beginning of the school year was really fast and really strong. So knowing these numbers ahead of time and tracking them will help you see and predict things that are going to happen, which is crucial for running your business, because then you can start to avoid the potholes on the road to profitability. It's a cheat code. And the more you focus on those numbers, the more you're able to make better decisions about your business. So I know we've talked a lot about numbers and a lot of metrics, and I know some of you are like, yeah, we do this already. This is cool. And if you are, fantastic. My hat's off to you. You are a Modern Day Dojo focusing on your business to make a better impact, better influence in your community, and yes, better income as well. That is awesome. But if you are a gym that does not track these and you need help, and if you would like, jump on a call with me, one-on-one. I'll help you. I'll go through some of the things that you should be tracking. You can reach out to me via Facebook at Modern Day Dojo. Just go to our Facebook page and you could just message me on there. I would love to chat with you. Write in a comment or reach out to me personally. Now, sometimes it takes me a couple of days for the personal side for me to get back to you, but reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you, jump on a call with you, one-on-one, do a Zoom, and get you going, get you on the right path. And if you hit me up in a DM, we'll set up the one-on-one call. It'll be really fun, really easy, really fast, and it'll be good. And you'll be on the right track to start tracking some key stats in your area. And listen, if you guys want a copy of my daily stat sheet, I have a daily stat sheet that I have all my managers to fill out. So I am in the know every day, every morning. I get up and I look at my numbers. I know exactly where my schools are at. If you want a copy of this daily stat sheet, you have to do a couple things. First, make sure that you are following this podcast. Shameful plug. and then also reach out to me on Facebook and I'll give you a copy of it. It's just a Google sheet. All you have to do is just make a copy for yourself. It does a lot of auto calculations for you. It's great. It's fun. It's easy. And it kind of keeps track of a lot of the basic stuff for you. Again, thank you so much for tuning in this week. I hope you found some value in it. I hope you can look at it and say, man, this is cool stuff. I think being able to track my stats is really going to help my business. It really is the first step to finding out exactly where you need to focus on and the areas that you can have the most benefit of focusing on. And if you do it, you're gonna see some improvement in your business. Okay. So anyways, hey, I look forward to seeing you guys in the next week's episode to learn more tips on how to transform your gym into a modern day dojo. Thank you so much for being here. I'm continually honored that you show up. I am blessed beyond measure, and it's all because of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll see you in the next episode.